Hello, and welcome to the Hustle and Honey podcast, where we explore the sweetness, struggle, and successes of running your own business. We are your co-hosts, Jenn, Amber, and Meesh. Today it's Jenn, and I'm interviewing Tonia of CatchATanAirbrush. Tonia is a local esthetician. She's a waxing expert. She has been in the beauty industry for lots of years, and she is also a events manager for Little Shop of Hydros, an awesome little hydroponics grow boutique here in Sunny Slope, and you get to hear lots about Sunny Slope and everything happening in our neighborhood. So please check out all of our local events. And here is our interview with Tonia.
So welcome.
Hey.
I would love for you to start off by introducing yourself a little bit about who you are, what you do. Just give like a quick intro, and then I'll get into our questions.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name's Tonia. I am from New Mexico originally, but I live here in Phoenix, Arizona. This is where I run my business. I'm kind of, I always call myself a little bit of a gypsy because I do everything. So I don't really specialize in one thing. I like to try and do a whole bunch of other things. So my main business is spray tanning and waxing. I've been in the beauty industry for well over 25 years. So I've done it all from hair, makeup, skin. Oh gosh, the only thing I've never done is nails and massage. That's about it. So I'm kind of a jack of all trade when it comes to beauty. And that's where I just like to spend my time because I really love it. I am also the director of the Stoned Age podcast. So we are a cannabis-based podcast here in Arizona. And we have done some pretty major breakthroughs when the cannabis industry was first getting going, especially here in Arizona before it went rec. We talked to a lot of people all over the world. So that was really cool. So I get to direct that and book guests. And we've talked to, like I said, lots of musicians and entertainers just all over the world dealing with cannabis and their uses. And then I also run the calendar for the Little Shop of Hydros. So I book classes and build events. And that just comes from the podcast because we do a lot of events with that. So this just kind of spills into over here. And so, yeah, that's what I do.
Yes. Okay. I love that because I resonate so much with that. That's like a big thing that's been coming up with the people that I've been interviewing too, is multiple streams of income is like such a real thing that they're always saying that, but then they're also saying niche down. So for me, it's like, I don't want to niche and just be focused on just one thing. There's a whole wide world out there, and I want to do a little bit of everything. So Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, I love that you shared, like, you're doing a lot of things. And you guys, you have some events coming up, I think. So this podcast episode will be airing before your events at the end of March. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. That is definitely coming from the Little Shop of Hydros. So again, one more thing that I do. I am part of a poetry group called Mujeres del Sol. And so we performed, this poetry group has been around way longer. I am a brand new member. I've performed with them twice now. And through that, it's just inspired me to get behind the mic more. I've been a writer my entire life, but I've never actually performed my poetry. And one of my girlfriends, Melissa, who I've known forever, she is one of the members of this group. And so she asked me to be a part of it. So it was extremely challenging. So that's, again, another thing I would tell anybody is it's never too late to do anything. Like, just because you didn't do it before and you have the ability and the goal to do it now, like, do it now, because all my writings transferred into me being able to finally use my voice in a way of positive energy and education instead of just writing about stuff, like it really means something to me to be able to speak. So me and one of the group members, we've got together. And those of you that don't know, Little Shop of Hydros also has a community garden over here at Mountain View Park. So that's on 7th Avenue and Mountain View. So it is one of the only gardens in a city park here in Phoenix. So if you've never seen it, come on by. Keep Phoenix Beautiful takes care of it. So we've got these lovely ladies that take care of it, and they rent out the garden beds. So if anybody's interested and there's a garden bed available, you can get one and you maintain it and you can be a part of the garden. So we are putting together a poetry group that night, and we're going to entertain you. And we have a list of poets that are going to come out, and we're just going to set up a beautiful night in the garden full of poetry. And the goal is to raise money for our junior garden club. So with the store, what we like to promote is healthy eating, healthy lifestyles, and how to teach children where food actually comes from. And that it's a family affair when it comes to just, again, it's a hobby. It's a way to bring families together. And it's really to show children, like, from seed to harvest, you can create your own world. And this is something you could take with you for the rest of your life. So we're gearing this towards the children. So we're just raising money for that, but we're going to have some poets out here. And then one of my girlfriends, again, I don't know if anybody knows this, they're called Galactic Harmony. They're an awesome band here in Phoenix, and the lead singer, Tori, is going to be performing that night as well. So she will be doing an acoustic guitar performance. She plays the flute as well, so she's going to perform us there. I'm still looking for some other vendors. I know I've asked you to come out, and if you want to do some henna for the group, and just like little finger tattoos, and just make it fun and easy for people. I believe my daughter and her business, DJ Sprinkles, is going to be out there, so she's going to have some sweets and some treats. I'm going to have a DJ as well, just kind of setting the vibes. And yeah, it should be a really fun night. So that's March 29th. It's going to start around 7 p.m. You're more than welcome to come early and stay later as well, because we have some other things coming too. So yeah, lots of planning, lots of working.
We love a good community event. That's a huge part of not only like this podcast, but where this podcast like kind of came from was that I really wanted to bring together people in my community that are building each other up and creating a space where it's like safe to share information, because I feel like so often everything is like, it's like behind a paywall, right? Like to get any useful help or to get any useful knowledge, you have to pay for it. And that's fine, right? Like our time and our energy is worth something totally. But when you have a strong community of people who are sharing that information with each other, that feels like a really good exchange too. So absolutely. I just love, I love that you guys are building up the community in that way and offering those kind of events.
Yeah. And it takes time. It takes time to really bring people out of their houses. There's things that we've done and it hasn't been that great. We're just like, but we're not discouraged. We're just going to keep pushing and, just trying to really change our little corner of the world. We are here in Sunny Slope. Some areas of Sunny Slope are not as healthy as they could be. And if this is our part to bring the community again, to create more of a healthy environment so people feel safer walking the streets and taking their bikes out. Because we got a wonderful Sunny Slope community. The high school's right here. There's a ton of kids here. But then there's just that weird little section that makes things a little awkward around here. And they've been doing a lot to try to clean up this neighborhood. So, this is our part to take back that park, take back that garden, and to let the kids come out and play again, get them out from behind those screens and start playing outside again. I love the garden. It's very peaceful for me to be out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that's just so relevant to just like that, going back to that knowledge, and just the more you educate people, the more opportunity that they have to make better choices. And so you can really, like you're saying, like clean up the neighborhood, but you give them resources, you give them options, you give them something else to do. And yeah, I love that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, yeah, it is great. I would love to kind of hear a little bit about your definition of success. The other part of this podcast is really getting to know our, small business owners in the area, and also like why you felt like running your own businesses, doing your own thing. Why? Like, what is the benefit, like compared to a regular job? So kind of a little bit of what your definition of success is and why you chose this way to get there.
Well, definitely. And you should probably know, I know most of us know, when you run your own business, like it's such an up and down thing. So it takes a lot of courage to continue to go and not give up, because not every day is great, so you have to always constantly keep thinking about new things to do. But As far as when I think of success, clearly, I mean, it could be money, but it really is ultimately doing what I love. I want to be able to get up every day and do the things that I love, because for many years I got up every day to do things that I did not care to do, or to make money for other people, and to really just kill myself working hours and hours and hours and not really reaping a benefit except just whatever they decided to pay me at the end of those 2 weeks, and not really coming home with anything but just tired and nothing to show for it, especially when you work in the beauty industry. Sorry, I don't mean to ramble, but there's a lot of companies that make you write a non-compete. Right. So for somebody like me who goes to school and has a passion and I want to work with people and build a clientele, working in a company like that is very dangerous, because the second you leave, you can't tell nobody where you're going. You can't take nobody, you're supposed to leave. There's certain rules, and it's just so unfair. And I was screwed pretty badly by a company that I put 7 years in, and it was brutal. I mean, it was doors slammed in my face, and I just could not believe it. And I tried again to work for another company, and I was struggling. I was like, this just isn't it. Like the teamwork wasn't there for me. I'm like, I know more than you. How do you work for a company when you know more than them? It was hard. I mean, no offense, but my manager was like 21, and it was really difficult. And when that group just started getting a little strange, I decided to just rip the Band-Aid, if you will. I am a waxer, so we ripped that wax strip right off. And I just jumped. I researched with some people that I knew that had already gone out on their own. Yeah. And I just filled myself with as much information. And they were such a great, support system for me to let me know, like, it's possible, you can do this. And I just did it. I just started doing it. In fact, I started waxing out of my apartment first. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe people would come to my apartment. I couldn't believe my clientele. I was like, she is actually showing up. Like, they would actually show up. And my clientele supported me more than anything else. And I was surrounded by the people that actually cared about me and wanted to see me do well. And that's what really pushed me to my success of building the life that I dreamed of, to be able to have the days where I do get to sleep in, or have the days where I get to just work on my computer all day and build my business, or I get to talk to like-minded folks like you and create other things. Like now I get to work with all women in all different industries that are running their own businesses and collaborating. And to me, that's a beautiful space to be in. So like, for me, that's my success, is just living the life that feels comfortable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love so many of those things. Okay. So one I want to touch on, you talked about like how the non-compete, working for a larger company to start off. And I think that is so important to tell younger people who are finishing, like, especially in the beauty industry, but I'm sure it applies to other trade schools and other types of industries, where it's like, you think, I was talking to Nicole about this, Nicole Adler. So we were talking about this, and she's saying like, you think like, oh, I'm just going to go work for this company for a few years to go get some experience. Yeah. And in doing that, you think, oh, I'm going to go work here. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to network. I'm going to build my clients. But you don't realize that non-compete is so aggressive, and that they will. Oh yeah.
They'll take you to court. I had to have a whole court session over it.
Right. And it's like, you build these relationships with these clients for the last 3 or 4 years. When I go to a service provider that I love, I don't give a shit who they work for. I like them. So if they leave that company, it's so disgusting that the company won't give me that information. I understand business-wise why that is that way, but like, I don't like anybody else that works here. That's why I see that person. And for them to give me their phone number, for me to like initiate contact with them after they leave, like, for that to be a problem is just so weird. And I hate that about that industry in general. But I think that's so important to remind people of, like, don't wait to start your own business, because you're literally just sending people to this other company that you're working for, and you're providing them these great clients. And if you pick somebody up off the street and you're like, oh yeah, I work at wherever, come see me. Well, that's their client now. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They feel like they own them. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. They feel like they own them.
It's a very unfair situation. So I was like, I'm breaking that mold. I would never in my life. So those of you that do it, great, and you work well. I know a lot of people that still work for some of these companies. They show up every day and it doesn't bother them. They love it. They continue. They've grown with the company. Great. But it wasn't for me, it was.
And there is something to be said for like, this company is providing these clients, and then that capacity, that is nice, because if you are not someone and you already know that about yourself, that you're not going to be able to go and network and you're not going to be able to find your clients, or you're scared to do that, then entrepreneurship isn't right for you.
Right.
Because you want to be able to have that empowerment to go out and find your people. But working for another company, that's nice. They do it for you, but just remember that that's their clients.
Or at least be smart. Get their phone numbers before you leave.
Right. I
exactly. Have everybody's contacts. I'm all, let me get your contact information.
Right. Oh, just follow me on Instagram.
Or either that or they'll find you no matter what. So.
Right. Yeah. And I really think that is something that needs to change in that industry. And I'm sure it applies to many industries. I know that in the teaching profession, it's something that's happened for teachers who've left schools and wanted to start teaching on their own. There's the non-compete there. So if you're offering the same service within a certain time frame, like if you within 1 year, you can't market the same service, things like that. Like there are the non-competes can be very nitpicky and they can be very precise. So
and most people don't read the fine print of anything. Most people don't read contracts. They're just like, woohoo, I got a job. And you think that you're so excited that you get a job that you're just willing to just sign it. But it's very important as a young person, again, starting their career in this type of industry or, anything that just gives you a license. Like, you want to make sure that whatever company you start with. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. I got a lot of training. They made me the waxer that I am.
Yeah.
But the politics, I guess, behind it is a little intense.
Yes.
So. Yeah, it is what it is. So, but we're here now and that's good. I've been able to, the good thing is it's like when you do say free yourself or at least open your mind to even what you're doing as a entrepreneur or somebody who just likes to work on their own, you have ways to build in different capacities, like finding different avenues, not just thinking like, oh, I'm just a waxer and that's it. Like you can build from that and find different avenues of your industry to bring it in. So it's not always just the same all the time,
Yeah.
And that's what I find sometimes when I work for a company. I find like I do the same stuff all the time. And I'm like, I don't want to do this every day. I want to do something different today. That's just my personality.
Yeah. And I do think that goes back to a lot of entrepreneurs feel similarly. We like running all different aspects of our business and it gives us something different to do every day. There is a sense of unpredictability, which allows our brains to operate in a more creative way. Mm-hmm. It's not so monotonous. People don't understand how I'm like driving around town all day, every day, doing different things. And I'm like, granted, I could get over the driving. The driving, I'm not so much a fan of, but going to a new place, I'm here for an hour. I do my thing. I go somewhere else for an hour. I do that thing. That feels good to me. It feels good to my brain. And I enjoy it.
That's what I told my mom. My mom's like, you need a rest. I said, Mom, this is what I do.
It brings me joy.
Yes, I just like this. I like to do this kind of stuff. If I was sitting, for me, again, everybody's different. Some people find joy if they go to their desk and they sit behind their, they got all their pictures of their family and they deal with clients over the phone and stuff. If that's your joy, that's fantastic. Yeah. But that's not my joy. Right. I like to move around a lot and, I like to explore different things.
I agree. Okay. So I will say, the next thing I like to ask people is what is a challenge in your business and how are you navigating that? So it could be in any of your businesses, pick your favorite one. But I like to use this podcast as a platform to share something that could help somebody else. So if there's something that you're dealing with right now and you've learned something from it, that could help another entrepreneur and their own experience.
For sure. Well, again, being in the beauty industry, there's time and season. There's always a season for when you're busier and when you're not. So you just basically have to balance and understand your season. Like I understand now, because I do spray tanning as well.
Yeah.
So I understand we're going into bridal season. So now's my time, and we're going into spring break. Like, I just have to read the seasons as they come along. And I understand that, like, there are certain times it's just not busy. So I try to balance it out with those other things. So that way I don't go crazy wondering why I'm not so busy all the time, because you'll feel a distance once it starts getting cold. People start covering up their bodies. They don't care about a spray tan. They could care less. That's just not what they want to do. Unless it's a special occasion, it doesn't mean anything. Now that the weather's starting to warm up, the body's starting to show, people are starting to get it, so everybody's going to start focusing on like their health and their bodies and their waxing. So now's my season to really kick in. So, definitely reading the seasons.
Yeah. And I think that's so important for people that are, especially women running businesses. We think that you're supposed to show up every single day, like 9 to 5. That's a very masculine schedule. And it's based on the sun, right? So the sun is masculine and the moon is feminine. And so I feel like the seasons are even more so relevant because we have seasons in our life. Like, that is our lifetime to, rest. Flourish. Like you're saying, like, now it's spring and summer. That's the time that everything is blossoming outside. That's the time that everything is like joyous and like out, just so vibrant. So of course it makes sense that in a beauty industry, people are going to be excited for that season, right? But then as things slow and cool, then that is time for rest. And like, as a business owner, we have to make money all year round because unfortunately bills are due the whole time. But, it's nice that if you can recognize that in your business or go into your business with that model, knowing, during these slower seasons, I'm going to do these other things. Or you can do it old school, right? Like, you can work your ass off all spring and summer and set aside money. And sometimes that is the easiest way to do it. But you also could find other clients or other tasks or other jobs to do in that slower season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's lots of places that hire seasonally, over the Christmas season. Just in December, I worked at that Enchant in Scottsdale.
Oh, fun.
It was 6 weeks. All I did was stuff bears for 6 weeks. It was not permanent. By January 1st, I was done. And that was it. It was just extra money that came in because it supplemented the time that I wasn't spray tanning people.
Right.
Like, I had occasions throughout the month, yes, but it wasn't consistent because it's December, so I just supplement it with something different. And I enjoy doing that too.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I love that. That's like, that's, I feel like, a really good approach to reminding people that it's okay to take other part-time work if it gives you the flexibility to have your business the other 90% of the time. Like, that's a great option for people. Okay, let me see what else I want to ask you. Oh, is there somebody in your industry that it doesn't have to be in the beauty industry. It could be totally, but is there anybody that you're looking up to or learning from these days? Like, it could be business in general. It could be one of your other projects, but just anybody that you're learning from or gaining knowledge from. Like, I'm a big book reader, so I'm always reading.
Yeah. And I'm glad to hear that. I didn't know that about you. So I'm grateful to hear that. Now we have something else that we could chit chat about, because I love to read. In fact, I was going to bring something up. So, beyond writing, I write a lot to get out my thoughts, because since I do a lot, it's hard for me to focus sometimes on one thing. So if I write it out, it makes more sense to me. So writing is a really healthy tool. Same thing with reading. I love to read just for that outlet and to just inspire me to just feel better and to just relax my brain for a second. But there's actually a couple different women. I have a lady, or I call her a lady, we're the same age. She's my friend Liz. I've known Liz. She was actually my instructor in beauty school. We were the same age. Our children are the same age. And after 20 plus years, we're still friends. And every time I need something beauty related, I reach out to her and she answers all the time. And she's had me come to her school and demo, so we have such a strong bond, even though we don't see each other all the time, but I'm constantly learning from her, because I see her building all the time in this industry and just pushing. So, I admire what she's doing. There's another woman in Scottsdale. Her name's Dana. She runs Synergy Yoga. She's incredible. She's such a, her energy is just insane. And I draw that energy from her because I see how people just navigate towards her because she's so positive and she just gives it, and I love that, so she inspires me a lot. And, all of us in our group, you inspire me and Nicole as well. And, all the women that I've really been able to surround myself with. And that's another thing that I've been trying to teach my daughter. And I would tell anybody is really pay attention to your circle. Let that circle be the one that inspires you. Let it be that group. You may not be able to talk to her about it, but you could talk to her about it. And she wants to talk to you about it. So keep your circle tight. Surround yourself with the people that bring you that type of positive energy, because that's where I draw my strength from, these days. And this is the book I'm reading. And I would tell anybody, and maybe you've read it, Jen, but Women Who Run with the Wolves.
Oh, I have it. I have it and I haven't finished it.
I read this book at a slow snail pace, and everybody I know that's read it reads it just as slow. And it's not a book you rush through. You just take your time. And I love it. And I would just recommend it for anybody who's just kind of wondering down a path,
Totally. And I actually keep mentioning this. I'm like, we need to have a book club. Every time I interview somebody, they're giving me new books. And I'm like, I need to read that. I'm going to need to do a recap with everybody after I read their books.
I know.
Yeah, that's okay. It's inspiring me to like pick it actually up off my nightstand. It's sitting there. I got through, I think, just like the first page or two, and then something else came up and it got shuffled back. So it's gonna get to the front of the line.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's not one continuous story. Yeah. It's a bunch of different stories and lessons. Yeah, little in between. So that's why you can read it so slow. So you can process what each story is telling you, because there's a lesson in each one where you're like, wow.
Yeah. You can integrate it. Ooh, I love that. Okay. Yeah. I'm definitely going to add that to the front of my pile. It's going to happen. Okay. So I would also like to hear, I like to ask everyone, what are 3 things that you tell every client you work with? It could be advice. It could be wisdom, like literally anything. But I feel like as entrepreneurs, we are in a repetitive education system. Like in the terms of like, I want to educate my clients and I find myself repeating the same things over and over to them. And so I'm curious if you have like your top 3 things that you're telling every single client.
Just as far as like their care?
Sure. Anything. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, I guess so. I guess like if I were to tell like my clients, it kind of turns into the care as far as like how to take care of their like body.
Okay, great. That could help somebody. Let's hear it.
Their skincare, everybody does services different. So I really enjoy when I have clients that are like, wow, nobody's ever done that before. So, making it an experience and less just a spray tan. Like it's not just spray tan, it's an experience.
Yeah.
So creating the experience, the first thing that they come to the door, being offered certain things, making sure, do you need to use the restroom? Do you need some water? Just going over the spiel of that, making them feel really comfortable coming in the door. And then afterwards is where I really just go into it of, these are the things that you have to do. You're not allowed to get wet or sweat. I make sure that they're on dry duty. I use that word a lot. I'm like, you're on dry duty. Don't ever, you're not allowed to do the dishes at all. You're over it. So, just really repeating to make sure that they go home, follow my instructions, and they wake up feeling amazing,
Yeah.
If you don't repeat yourself.
Sorry, how long do they have to wait to get wet after a spray tan?
Well, it's going to develop in like 8 to 9 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
if you accidentally get wet after 3 hours, you're okay. But
okay. So it's so interesting because you obviously know with my henna that is the same thing I'm telling my clients. Like when I do events and people are rushing in and out of my seats, they're like, okay, thanks for my henna, bye. And I'm like, okay, but don't get it wet. And I'm yelling as they're like running back on the dance floor or doing whatever. And it's because the henna stain. So I'm assuming that the spray tan is very similar and that it's a chemical reaction happening on the skin. And so the henna, so the henna is like actually permanently staining your skin. The difference is that our skin cells leave our body and they flake off. And that's how you lose a henna stain. And I would assume that a spray tan is very similar to that.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. The solution, like the ingredient that's in the spray tan, reacts to the amino acid of your skin. So it creates that brown color, which is kind of like an apple. Like when the apple starts to get like that brown, it kind of just develops like that. And then, it takes exfoliation to come off.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I mean, I feel like henna would not be cute to, so this is interesting because henna originally was but like it was used as a natural sunblock. And so I'm curious, maybe spray tan does something similar, but basically when you have like a henna design on your skin and you go and you get a suntan and you have your design, I have some henna, but you go and get a design and then you have your time in the sun and then you lose those skin cells. The cells underneath were resistant to coloration. So you'll have like a reverse stain where it will be the henna stain, but in absence of it. So you'll have like a tan around where the stain was. So I wonder if spray tan, does it also block like the sun or like an actual tan underneath?
It doesn't block the sun.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to give you sunblock protection.
So interesting.
But yeah, and the brown, like the brown that you see in the bottle that makes it look dark. Yeah. That's just bronzer that's added. The actual stuff that makes you tan is completely clear.
Right.
So
I feel like the bronzer would be so you know where you're spraying it. Right?
Right. It just creates more of like an intense look, It gives you more of that like deep, deep color.
Interesting. Okay. I'm just like, my brain is like churning over all of the things about henna and how it affects your body and like how it happens. Yeah. So originally like they would use it as a cooling method for henna. It would be like, okay, we have this paste, the powder and the paste, and we slather our bodies in it. And now we're kind of like having a natural cooling system. This is like thousands of years ago, thousands of years ago. And then what they realized was that it was when they would take that off, the paste off, that it would be that orange color. And then it would be that dark brown stain. So just so interesting to me how, body art and things have changed over the years.
I know. And just what gets popular, like when women back in the days, like in the 1920s, they had to give up wearing stockings because they needed nylon for the war. So they were taking all these fabrics away that women used to use as like stockings. So women used to paint their legs to make it look like they had stockings on.
Yeah.
There was like whole companies that you could go and get your legs painted, and they would even line it up that looked like you had like a pantyhose line and stuff. I'm like, so interesting.
So wild.
Yeah. Beauty. I love it. I love researching old beauty tricks.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Okay, before we wrap up, what was your first job?
My first job? Oh gosh, think hard. I think I was bagging groceries at Smitty's. That was my first.
Oh my gosh!
Before it turned into Fry's, I think.
Yeah, I forgot Smith and Smitty's. Yeah,
it was in Scottsdale. It was right off of like Thomas and Scottsdale something.
Oh, I love that.
I was bagging groceries. One of my friends had gotten a job there. So I was like, I'm going to get a job there too. Yeah. And then I realized how much I would never, ever, ever want to work at a grocery store.
You're like, and I hate this. Goodbye.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. So I didn't make it very long. I only did it for like 2 months. And then I think I went to like Taco Bell or something like that.
Like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. My very, very, very last question is, if you could tell yourself one thing to get you to where you are now, but quicker, what would it be? I'll give you a second to reflect on that.
If I could tell myself this when I was like a younger self?
Yes. Yeah. So like you can time travel back and you're like, hey, Tonia, I'm going to give you one life hack and it's going to get you here so much quicker. Here you go. What would it be?
I think for me, if I could look at my life,
Yeah.
it would have been to know my worth more, especially when I was in a terrible, terrible relationship, because that hindered a lot of my growth. And even though like I was still in the beauty industry, I was still growing, I was still doing like I've always had the passion. It was the person that I surrounded myself with that hindered my growth. So I would tell myself, like, know when to walk away, know your worth, know that it's okay to, like follow you. Like you know that thing that's talking to you on the inside. Like listen to her. It took me a long time to listen to her. So I'm grateful to know her now. But that's what I would go back is really watch who you surround yourself with. And that could be the man in your life, your friends, your work environment, because those things, they will hinder your growth for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so relevant. Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get you on ours too, because we just started up again with our podcast, getting that going as well. So
yeah,
we have some stuff coming up too.
Just to close out, do you want to remind everybody where to find you if they do want to either tanning services or, like you said, little shop, like any of those places?
Yeah, for sure. You can reach me at CatchATan Airbrush Studio. That's either on Instagram or you could just go online. I have my own website. So CatchATan Airbrush Studio. I'm located just in Central Phoenix. I do work with some really awesome women as well. So we do facials and B12 shots and all kinds of really fun body treatments there as well. Makeup and spray tanning and waxing. So we're like a one-stop shop. Also, you could reach us at the Little Shop of Hydros. We are in also North Central Phoenix, and we do have that poetry event coming up. So if you guys want to get involved or become a vendor as well, or if you just want to come for a night of poetry and just, show your support to the garden and to the future gardeners of America, please come by. We're going to be at Mountain View Park on March 29th. We're going to be starting around 7:00. And we'll be posting that online as well. So you'll be able to follow us on Instagram at The Little Shop or Tan Airbrush Studio.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Yeah, that was fun.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. We're so excited for all of our upcoming episodes. We also have an event on May 4th and 5th, a little retreat. So if you are following along on Instagram, you'll see me or Meesh posting about that, and we would love for you to join us. Until next week, thank you so much. Bye.